All right, we're going live. Hey, that's us. All right, we're going live. I'm just gonna post these links. Okay. Hey, Alice. Welcome to the book club. I would say it's a surprise to see you, but you knew it was the book club because you came prepared. You read the book. Um, so you already know what I'm about to tell you. Uh, Tonight's book is Survivor by Chuck Palahniuk, recommended by Cordy. We got the Cordy here, the accordion. um, so, well, I guess let's give like a brief uh, introduction for the Alices who haven't read Survivor. Um, Chuck Palahniuk is an edgelord, and he really loves the underground elements of society. Um, and like I think Fight Club is probably his most famous work that explores this. Um, but Survivor is right up there too. There's a lot of elements to this book, one of which is the main character, Tender Branson. Uh, he he does this sadistic thing where he puts up stickers all over town with his phone number, and it's like a suicide hotline. Like, if you need to talk to someone, call this number. But then when people call, he encourages them to kill themselves, and a lot of them aren't even really suicidal so much as they're just having a bad day or they're drinking too much. Like, and he pushes them over the edge, and like he's a prolific serial killer. Um, it's a really fucked up book. It's really disturbing. Like, there were parts of it that really bothered me psychologically, and like, but it was even harder to put down. It's like I had to know what happened next. Um, what was your first experience with this book like, Courtney?
I think I like the narrative style that Chuck takes, like in most of his books that I've read. Even if the protagonists are anti, uh, they still manage to express something that is kind of like a philosophical commentary on the world. That it's not necessarily wrong. It's just a different perspective.
Right. It is like it also he has a great way of making the most like unlikable character like someone you can tolerate. Which like I still honestly find Tender Branson by the end of the book completely irrehensible, but like he's human, you know, like he you find out why he's the way he is, and it makes sense all of a sudden. Um, like I guess that's the other element to it is oh I guess we lost Courtney. Um well that's the other element to it is one moment, Alice. You find out why he's the way he is. Um he the book starts with him being a prolific assisted suicide serial killer, like I guess is a stretch, but um he yeah, people call him on the phone, and he convinces them to kill themselves, which is it might as well be murder, you know. And as the book goes on, like this irrehensible person that you never really I never really found him likable, but you find him a lot more humanized as things continue. Um, his upbringing, he was in, I can't remember what they call it. I'll find it, but he was in a cult. Um, and his family, there, it was, I think it was called Credence or something, but they all lived on farms. And the eldest of the family, um, the eldest son, would inherit all of the parents' wealth. Um, the siblings, the younger siblings, would all be um, shipped into the world to work and gather money for the church. Um, the eldest sibling is also the oldest, the only one that's allowed to marry and have kids. The main character of the book, he was the second eldest son of the family by a few minutes. His brother was the eldest twin. Um, and because of that, he was treated like the rest of his like nine siblings. He was just put into the workplace. And so like all he knows is basically like home etiquette and like cooking, cleaning, gardening, because that's what he was taught before they shipped him out. Um, so he just cleans for people for ship pay and ships all his money back to the church. Um, and then then all of the church members kill themselves. Is a giant suicide pact. Oh hey, look who's here. 1 second, Alice. Hey, hey,
Can you hear me?
I can. How's it going?
Oh, wait, let me give me a second. All right, Tommy, not too loud. We're about to do the podcast. I'm sorry, I'm with my friends.
No, you're good, man.
We're in Los Angeles right now.
Nice. Hey, Courtney's back. The Cordy.
Hey,
There you go.
Hello.
Hello. Um, so welcome. Welcome. Both came at the same time. That was funny.
nice.
But so yeah, I was just talking about Tender Branson. And did you guys get a chance? I know Courtney's read it. Have you read it, David?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been, I guess you just got here. What are your thoughts? Want to give us the David Penna synopsis book review?
Um, Let me see. First, I want to start with how it made me feel as I was reading it. There were moments of the story where like kind of like the book we read last time, Slaughterhouse Five. It would go back and forth between different like time periods and different like ideas or whatever. And there were times where like it's not that I was losing interest, but I was just kind of going with the mundane because especially early on, it was a lot about like, oh, this is how I clean this, this is how I do this. If you want to do this with a garden, blah blah blah. But then in between those sections, you would get random stuff like, oh yeah, my entire family killed themselves, and then you go back to the mundane. But I really like sections like that, and it made those other sections where they talk about like his family, the cult, like it just made it so interesting.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it kind of also emphasized like how detached he is from it.
Hmm.
Like how he's like, I'm just talking about this the same as I would anything else, you know?
And like the cult made them that way.
Right. Yeah, they well, it's funny is like what's her name? Felicity keeps asking him if he's a virgin, and like other people ask him that. And he never really like says what you kind of assume, right?
No, you have to, yeah, with all the repression.
Yeah. And then at the end it's um like his brother is like I know what they did to you. And he's like, they didn't do anything to me. And he's like, they did. Like, confront that. And like he's like, what they did was awful. And then he had to like say it to him. Like, um is spoilers, they made all of the kids watch as their moms gave birth every time without like any anesthesia or anything. So like their only concept of sex was like this painful, awful thing that you're subjecting someone to.
Hmm.
Birth is a relevant topic.
Oh, true.
Talk about pain you're subjecting someone to.
Pain, subjecting them to that, using religion as like an excuse.
Right. And so I don't know. It's for the government to pretend that they care about anything is funny. It's like we care about life all of a sudden.
Yeah, what about in every other aspect?
Yeah. You guys are still drinking baby adrenochrome. You guys are still doing human sacrifice rituals. We know.
And plus,
Uh,
I mean, for their mistresses, totally.
yeah. um, Courtney, what's your like favorite, I guess, section of the book? Because like David said, there's a lot of like segments to it.
Well, I like something he does stylistically in at least a couple of the books. I know he does it in Invisible Monsters. He kind of starts with the conclusion,
Hmm.
on the airplane. And I've heard some people don't like that style because they're like it takes away the mystery. And I'm like, if anything, it creates all kinds of mystery because it's not something a lot of books do, and it kind of makes you wonder like how did we get there, how is this relevant, and it enables you the opportunity to look for pieces of that throughout the book to try to understand.
Yeah, because the journey itself is kind of like a mystery itself. Kind of like Invisible Monsters. There's another book by him called Snuff that does the same thing. It starts by telling you this person is already dead, but then the rest of the story is building up to how they died and why they died.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally like it, but I can see how other people might complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it was actually a really smooth transition from Slaughterhouse-Five because of the weird narrative style.
Hmm.
Like, like it made sense as a next book to read. I'm still struggling to figure out what to read next month. I haven't figured it out yet. Um,
True.
we might do the one you recommended. Fuck, I wish what I wrote it down, but what was
The,
the name
sh-
of it?
the Stranger.
The Stranger. We might do that next.
He character wise, he would actually be really similar to Brandon. Well, to Tender because they're both very like repressed and they like they act really mundane about stuff like their family members dying or like stuff like that.
Okay,
There's gonna be a nice transition even to that story from this one.
I'm sold. You heard it here first, Alice.
Hmm.
um, but yeah, no, like the way I agree, Courtney. Like the narrative structure is like one of the strongest elements of the story, and it's really it's a bold move. Like David pointed out, he does it in other works too, but it's still like he's uh very experimental with his work. I guess he has a long track record of that.
Mm-hmm. And it's been a few years for me, but I know it's starting off, isn't it like a black box from the plane?
Mhm.
And I know that he was kind of just like on that plane until it ran out of gas, essentially, if I remember correctly. Perhaps the
Hmm.
whole idea is that like we're hearing it from the perspective of the black box.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe too. And so the ending is kind of a cliffhanger. Um, kind of like,
I mean, it's heavily a plot implied, but at the same time, it doesn't like really conclude it.
do you think he survived?
No.
I don't know. I can't say.
He's Pandora's Tinder. He's Schrodinger's Tinder.
Yeah, there we go. Definitely that one. My favorite section was actually the glory hole sections.
Oh yeah.
I thought they were very funny and like I would just like to imagine how they would be done like live or like through art or something, just like going back and forth, especially the one with the gun and then the lips on the other side.
Nice. Yeah. That it would be. I was as I was reading it, I was thinking this would be an interesting movie, but it would be so hard to do.
Uh-huh.
That being said, they did Fight Club, which is like
They did Fight
narrative
Club.
mess,
Mhm.
but like it would be an interesting movie. Someone should
Yeah,
pick.
I think Fight Club is a similar narrative style, or at least the tone of the narrator is very similar. Like he would go and sit in on like AA meetings and stuff like that, just for the free coffee and the stories and the sympathy.
Yeah,
Oh, so kind of like the calls you would receive.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's getting off on other people's pain and vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
hmm yeah. Um. So, how about Felicity? She's funny as fuck. Um. Like, so if you haven't read Alice, there's a character in the book that um she's precognition. She has visions of the future, and she pretty much like she's busted. She sees everything. It's kind of ridiculous, honestly. Like but she like uses her powers totally self-servingly, or at least most of the time. But she has this really great personality. Um she's really like just a very human character, and like I was very worried that something was going to happen to her the whole time. Like, you know, like that. I didn't give a fuck about Tinder Branson. Fuck him. I still don't.
I
Like,
mean, she's a lot like Marla Singer from Fight Club.
yeah, yes, yeah. Like, yeah, the piece of shit that she's interacting with them is also like, who cares about him? Like, what's his name? Not Tyler Durden, but I can't remember the other character.
Oh, because it's the narrator. He doesn't really have a name.
Oh, right, yeah. So it is Tyler Durden.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, like he's a piece of shit for the most part, and then like, but yeah, she's great. I guess that yeah, he just keeps telling the same story. Are his other
I
books
mean,
like, does it follow a similar narrative structure?
mm,
I mean, I guess
I,
he, yeah,
I
you
wouldn't
guys,
say I wouldn't say the same structure because Snuff isn't like that. But the most common theme that I like see in writing about him would be kind of like the amount of callbacks he does, and
hmm,
especially with the way he repeats certain parts, where like he doesn't like saying he, they, she. Um, like okay, during the scene in the glory hole where he would say the lip said this, the gun said this, kind of repeating words like that, and you would kind of notice it throughout like the story. I don't know how to specifically say it or what the term would even be for this, but you
Almost
know.
like he's trying to disassociate and dehumanize
Mhm.
those he's interacting with.
Yeah, like in Fight Club, it would be like, oh, when he would do those poems where it's like Jack's liver or Jack's this or Jack's blah blah blah. Like whenever something really important has happened, he would just kind of like detach it and turn it into something like that.
yeah, okay, yeah, no, he definitely loves like repeating narratives. I guess so. So it's also for that reason a very smooth transition from Slaughterhouse Five.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like the best authors do that. It's like their own little. I mean, not even just that. Even movie directors are like that too.
Yeah, there is some pretty great parts I flagged down. Like, my my copy's full of like highlights and fucking like dog ears.
Hmm.
But like there's a part where he felt so much guilt about what he was doing with the suicide stuff, even though he didn't feel guilt. Like he expressed it in ways like he was going to the crypts trying to get a zombie to kill him or like attack him. I guess well more accurately he was exploring the concept of death.
Hmm.
But um but like he wanted something to kill him more than he wanted to continue to live, just if it would pop out and show him.
But at the same time, it's so far off that it never felt like he was truly like committed to it,
Yeah, that's true.
which goes back to kind of like the detachment.
Like disassociation.
Hmm.
Like because he was born, what was it, a few minutes after his brother, like he wasn't allowed to have like a family or a life or get married, and he's just like, I'm okay with that. I don't see the problem. Like lots of people are born a certain way. Like if you're not born with long fingers, you can't be a crazy concert violinist. It's
Uh huh.
whatever.
Yeah, I like that line.
Hmm. Yeah.
All these things that would reasonably make somebody upset. It's like, does he really feel unbothered by it because that's his form of normal, or is it his way of detaching himself from that pain and vulnerability?
It's definitely some kind of cope.
There's on that there's a one I just pulled open. It says the truth is you can be orphaned again and again and again. The truth is you will be. The secret is this will hurt less and less each time until you can't feel anything.
Yeah.
True.
So I mean, like, yeah, he's coping with like disassociating, and I mean, he's using disassociating as a way of like coping with his past and his situation that he's in.
Yeah, like the thing he was never able to tell like his therapist basically.
Yeah. And it might not make sense like to a lot of people like why he continued to do the chores and like stay in his cage even after the cult all was dead. Like
Mhm.
that might be hard for some people to wrap their head around, but it's actually like extremely human. Like that would be the natural reaction, like because that's all he knows. It's like I guess what I'm saying is like maybe some people and you know Chuck does a really good job of getting you into that headspace of why he acts the way he does,
Mhm.
why this character is who he is. But like I guess I'm just saying that's people are not usually aware of their conditioning. Um and you know like he became aware of it because it was very extreme and his conditioning was interacting strangely with the paradigm of the world. But like you know a lot of us well we all have conditioning and it just makes you wonder like all how much of it are you just completely unaware of.
Yeah, how much of it are you repressing? How much are you just like just letting it like happen to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
To an
Like
extent, you need it to continue to happen so that you can have something familiar.
hmm,
Mhm. Or kind of like the part where when he was with his therapist, he would like instead of like confronting his actual issues and actually fixing them, he would like just invent different issues with her and just kind of explore that and just play pretend or whatever.
yeah.
Like I can imagine that a lot of people, I mean, even including me, maybe I'm not even aware, do that too. They'll rather like focus on these little like non-issues than like actually address what's like really going on.
Yeah. He has another great part here about if Jesus Christ had died in prison with no one watching and with no one there to mourn or torture him, would we be saved? It's like the biggest factor that makes you a saint is the amount of press coverage you get.
Mm-hmm.
As if a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it, you realize if no one had been there to witness the agony of Christ, would we be saved?
I mean, it's kind of true.
Well, I mean, in that case, it's absolutely true because the metaphor is the entire point. So as long as we're aware of it, then it doesn't matter if the tree fell or not, as long as we have a concept of a tree.
Mm-hmm.
We can mourn this tree.
But that concept matters more than like the actual tree falling down.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't it to the point where I don't really care if the tree fell or not, to be honest. But I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
it. You know, some will argue that it did, some will argue that it didn't. But either way, you know, I appreciate its sacrifice.
For our sins, huh?
Yeah, the tree was felled for your sins, bro.
George Washington did it.
And then he has this great part about everything being derivative. Like um he says, we remember almost none of our real childhoods, but we remember everything that happened to sitcom families. We have the same basic goals. We all have the same fears. Oh, I think this is one of the bathroom stall. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
it
li-
doesn't say we look to TVs like ghosts to tell us how to live or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think something like that. He also mentioned about how people always ask like, where did that come from and stuff like that.
yeah. The 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 punchline is the big question people ask isn't what's the nature of existence, the mouth says. The big question people ask is what's that from? And that's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's a statement about like we're in post I guess it's a statement about postmodernism actually. But like we we live in a society and our society like likes to think it's like we run sequels now, you know? It's like
We run sequels of sequels.
it's sequels of sequels of sequels, you know, and everything is, oh, that's just like that. Oh, that's just like that band sounds just like this band.
Or just look at memes.
Yeah. We're not progressing. We're stuck in the old ways. It's like we can't.
It's almost like a a mushroom loop.
Right. Yeah. um and like, I mean, I guess philosophically though, everything is derivative. Every idea you could possibly conceive of um is two ideas or concepts you've come across mashed together in a unique way.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what we call an idea.
But kind of like being in that loop, it's like at this point, what can you even like do about it?
I mean, yeah, there's no there at that point the term like an original, there is no such thing as an original concept. So that concept's kind of, it isn't a thing, so don't worry about it.
True.
Yeah. Or or I could just stop being annoying and like use the like colloquial definition of words, you know? Like, but I don't know. I think words are like super important. Obviously, that's duh. But I mean like being specific. Like like you you have like, I don't know. You can there's a million different ways to say something, but like these words have specific meanings for a specific circumstance. It's like other languages are a lot more like this. Like you have honorifics in
Hmm.
certain languages. Like you wouldn't say the same thing you wouldn't express the same concept the same way to someone of a higher rank than you rather than like your child or your little brother.
Or even
Mhm.
just even just age.
Yeah, and even beyond that, like I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe in Japan, rather than, when somebody asks you if you can do something, it basically means no, when the translation is, oh, it's difficult.
Hmm.
Which, us being pushy people, at least me, I would be like, well, why is it difficult? Like, I'll come pick you up. It's whatever. And it's like, no, I'm being polite about saying no in order to say like it's difficult.
Wow. Because you can't say no. It's like that'd be rude. Wow.
You want to reject somebody or hurt their feelings. I don't understand the reasoning behind it other than to be polite.
Damn.
True.
It, yeah. Like, I don't know. I think people should more often not only leave their own comfort zones and their own bubbles, but like not, don't like invade people's personal space, but like, like go up and introduce yourself to people, enter their bubbles, you know? There's like such a lack of that in society nowadays. Everyone likes to isolate and stay to themselves, and like we need, I would say, like even the people that don't, like want to all the time, like my roommate David, you guys know him. Like he doesn't get out all the time, but he's such a great person to be around. He's a great person to talk to. And like um I don't know, like I'm not saying he has an obligation, but to get out and like you have to go talk to people. But like
Yeah,
the world would be a better place if he did. And I mean, like, he does interact with the world. He plays Apex with his bros.
it's a way to do it.
I
Yeah.
think to an extent it's a matter of meeting people where they're at, like maybe somebody doesn't like to go out because in those settings maybe they're just not comfortable interacting. I used to be somebody that really struggled to speak in groups, and I still am, but like one-on-one I feel like I can have a great conversation with people. And I've noticed, like, whenever I see David in his living room, if you try to talk to him, he's content to like sit down and spend time with you.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just gotta be in his domain. He gets out occasionally.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
Oh, wait. We did get ramen once.
Yeah, that was good.
That was
Was it?
dangerous.
Was the ramen good?
Yes,
Yeah.
very good. Okay, let's go get food. But yeah, so like let's talk about Adam Branson, the brother.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like the mirror to Tinder Branson, and like they're born minutes apart, and they almost have like this yin yang thing going on. Like one is, well, they're both products of their environment, but in like completely
In
adverse.
different ways.
Yeah. And Adam is he's also very similar, right? Because he's an actual serial killer.
Yeah.
And Tinder is like basically serial killer light, diet serial killer.
Oh, true.
um like he just couldn't like get close to it, actually do it, but he basically, who could say really who had more kills on their hand, whose kill count, whose KD was higher.
True. I mean, if you want to count it that way, I mean, he was doing it like, I mean, okay, at most Tinder could like, I don't know, Adam could like do maybe one or two a night, while Tinder was just like knocking them down.
Yeah, his kill count's probably way higher. He's at the top of the leaderboards, dude. KD's insane. he should play ranked.
I don't know. I almost wonder if the whole pretending to be a suicide hotline thing was him just kind of reinforce and prove his point that like nobody wants free will, that everybody wants to be told what to believe, and that nobody really wants for their choices to be their own.
Yeah.
Because that's what he believes.
That's what he was taught.
Yeah.
Freedom is like when you've been without it so long, it's like, I don't know, it's, you have different approach to it.
Or like him who never had it.
Yeah. And then yeah, like even like he just goes from one thing to the other, man. Like then after
Yeah.
he just gets taken in by these TV people and becomes a televangelist.
And that happens directly after his like therapist who's been like making him do this shit dies.
Yeah.
He just goes from
Oh,
one
she
to
was
the other.
hilarious.
Uh-huh.
I liked her.
No, I liked her. I was actually sad when she died.
Yeah. Yeah. I think probably my favorite part is when Felicity's telling him about the cruise ship and the boat, and when she was there with her brother.
See, that would be cool to watch in a movie.
Yeah, that was a really he painted that scene really well.
Mm-hmm.
They're like on that sinking cruise ship, and like it's tilting, and they're just dancing and eating all the food.
Meanwhile, people are like, they're just watching them with like their mouths open. Like, what the fuck are they doing?
You're right. Yeah. There's it, reading that book made me think a lot about the author and like what kind of person it takes to make something like this. You know, you guys do writing as well, and like, it's expressions of how we feel. But like in like, moments of emotion, like art can be powerful towards that. But if you are writing something really dark and you're sitting in it for a long time, you know, like he wrote a whole novel about this really fucked up character. It would be like, like being the Joker. Like you have to like get into that role. You have to do that, and in order to be any good at it.
And he has done a lot of like research, and interacted with real people who do have stories that inspire it. It makes you wonder, like, does he want to give a voice to the underground, the outcast of society, those that have been deemed other? I do think there's a shock value element to what he does, but I don't think that's the only reason. I mean, you got to keep in mind that until he got Fight Club out, like, he was told that some of his books were too inappropriate and too disturbing to publish. And then all of a sudden, once he has success, they're like, oh, it's fine. You can do that.
True.
Yeah.
That would certainly make me dig my heels in. Like,
Yeah.
do you really care about humanity? Do you really care about what's being said, or do you care about if you can profit on it?
Right.
Oh, well, talking about profit, another interesting part of the book was actually the last arc where like they try to like make him into this like celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's a televangelist and like he
And
just
like the
read.
book tour.
Yeah. The
The
book
book
tour.
tour, the steroids, the he couldn't eat this, he couldn't eat that, just like the amount of fakeness.
And yeah, yeah. And the book was all these prayers. Um well, he wrote a couple of books, but he had like a book of common prayers or something.
Oh, and talking about
Um
those common prayers, that goes back to the thing I was talking about, how the author likes to repeat sections like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like randomly throughout, even after he already talked about the book, he will randomly put in a random prayer after a certain thing happens in the story. Like I like stuff like that. Or like the repeating joke, where the punchline is always dead.
yeah, yeah.
And on the prayers, wasn't that one of his initial problems with the cult that he grew up in? Was that some of the prayers were so menial, like the things that they were asking for and praying for? And to me, like, when I started hearing about it, I was like, is that a prayer, or is that a spell? Is this some witchcraft?
And then it became actual witchcraft in the second book.
Um what was I gonna say? Oh, I changed my answer about my favorite part. My favorite segment is when he's on the stair stepper.
That's another repeating part too. After like 50 steps this, after 80 steps this, after 100 steps it's this. It was a really nice section.
He's like, after 130 steps, you like the ego dissolves and you're like with one with all consciousness or some shit.
Yeah.
The part was great. I was
But
trying to
that's not
find
but that's
prayers.
not that's not something you really see in a lot of other authors. Because I wouldn't be surprised. It's kind of like what you said, Courtney, where like maybe other publishers would tell them, no, don't add this part. It just repeats. That's just boring. Nobody likes that. But yet it has like such a powerful effect. Like I wouldn't want a fucking producer to tell someone, no, you're not allowed to do that.
Mm-hmm. I want to say it was Invisible Monsters was the one that they originally refused to publish because of how disturbing it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's pretty similar, just in the fact that it starts at the very end in the first chapter, to the point where like you're almost like, did I miss something? Did I fuck up? Because I first started Invisible Monsters when I was 15, and I found the first chapter online. I was like, this isn't how it starts. I'm very confused.
No. Same for me. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, he'd be like that.
Like even for this one, when I heard like the chapters actually being like counted in reverse, I had to check the audiobook just to make sure, wait, is everything okay?
I found the prayers, nearly some of them. The prayer to prevent hair loss.
Yep.
Let's all petition God in prayer. Um, God of ultimate stewardship, shepherd of thine flock, as you would succor the least of your charges, as you would rescue the most lost of your lambs, bestow to me the full measure of my glory. Preserve in me the remainder of my youth. Of all creation is yours to provide. All of creation is yours to withhold. God of limitless bounty, consider my suffering. Amen.
Amen.
Such a fucking legend.
That's what we need.
The prayer to silence barking dogs, the prayer to maintain an erection. I like that one because you're gonna stop.
That one actually works. That one would actually work.
What do you mean?
The one where it's like so you don't ejaculate. That one would actually work. They
Prayer
even
to induce erection.
no the one to like so that you don't ejaculate quickly, because he actually mentioned in the book that one would actually work because you would have to stop and think about it.
Oh, let me see.
I'm not gonna remember the section, but trust me, all right, it's there. I just thought it was funny because technically it would work if you're like telling yourself that prayer so you don't ejaculate.
That makes sense. The prayer to locate a lost contact lens. There's some bangers in here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's more like spells. It's more like witchcraft. Like, how are these prayers?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, it's all the same thing though. It's all prayers are witchcraft.
Yep.
It is nice kind of blurring that line. They might actually touch on that in the book when I think about it. Like, I think he might have said something about it being similar to witchcraft.
No, yeah, that's because he the part where he mentioned it was he mentioned that in book 2 they even made prayers like a prayer to like blind your enemies, and that's literally just witchcraft.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's just I guess the difference is whether you're doing it for God and it's a good thing or whether you're doing it for yourself. But really that's the only boundary.
I mean, yeah, but technically it's always for yourself, so.
Yeah, hey, there you go. I like that like Courtney mentioned, he does a lot of research. Like when they're on the plane, they're describing like how the plane is operating, when he's working for those people, he describes in crazy detail how to prepare a lobster.
No, I know exactly what you mean. Like, it's not just in this book. It's like in so many of his books, he like really gets into the details. Like Snuff is literally about making pornos, and he gets into the details of that. It's like I feel like either he or a lot of his characters are autistic or something, dude. I mean, I swear.
Yeah, like there's so much, he knows so much trivia about stuff, like deep trivia though. Like, and you're right, it's in everything. Like Fight Club doesn't it have like an entire, no, it doesn't have an entire chapter, but it's got a huge chunk of the anarchist cookbook.
Like how to actually, well, because in the movie they kind of rearranged it because they didn't want you actually learning the real shit. But in the book, it actually does go into details with that stuff. Then they go into details about like the way marketing works. He goes into details about like how insurance works, especially like early on when he's talking about like his own job. Like it's like sections like that, which a lot of like other books don't really do that because once again, publishers would tell them don't do that. You're just gonna bore the audience.
Right. Yeah. It is so underground. It's so edgy. Like it makes it feel like you're not supposed to have it.
Like it's someone's actual thoughts.
Yeah.
Like you're literally in their head.
Right.
Because I mean that's the kind of stuff, that's the kind of stuff we're thinking because we all have our own little like things we're like obsessed with or that we're hyper focused on.
I think he really captured what's beautiful about how he writes is it's like it's raw as fuck. You're in someone's head. It'd be like that.
They really do.
They really do. But like he goes into crazy detail about this lobster. He gets into like etiquette of fine dining.
Using the right little forks.
Right. even dumb shit. They just get into excruciating detail on about how he gets these fake flowers from graves, and then the history of fake flowers and how
Mhm.
fake, like a whole thing about how fake flowers are made.
Yeah, which ones are good? Which ones cost less? I wouldn't steal that one. I would steal this one.
Yeah, it's great. Courtney, we don't got your sound.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
we go.
Okay, I thought
yeah.
I remembered a section where I talked about how funeral flowers are actually considered the lowest grade of flowers.
Hmm.
So like the lesser ones we'll send there to sell.
Yep. Yeah. He was also talking about how with fake flowers in World War II, they didn't use metal at all because they needed.
Yeah, they use like some kind of paper so that like water would ruin them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually gonna have to leave soon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're actually getting near the end of, we're hitting an hour, so we're getting to the end anyway. But dude, thanks so much for joining.
Of course.
Yeah, this has been a fun book.
I did want to plug before I go because my mom keeps calling me on repeat. But if anybody wants to do book club but can't afford books because they are expensive, you can sign up for the app Libby and set it up with your local library and get a free card. And there might be a wait, so like check out the book at the beginning and put it on hold. But it's a great way to get an ebook or an audiobook for free
Hmm.
for
Yeah,
the club.
do that. Do that. Good job. That's a good idea. I'm gonna go do that right now.
Yeah.
I don't know, because you like to bend books, which hey, I think that's cool.
Like to do what?
You like to bend like pages and like mark
Oh
them and
yeah.
like customize them.
Yeah, mine is all dog-eared and the highlights all in it, like a study book.
Hmm. But that's cool in its own way.
Yeah. I was thinking that I'm gonna at some point when I have a studio to do this in, instead of just my living room, I'm
Hmm.
gonna like get a bookshelf of all the book club books that we've done. And have them all on a shelf for quick reference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being here, David. Tell Alice again what we're doing next month. What's the name of it?
Wait, what the name of what?
The book you recommended. That's what we're doing.
Oh, I should tell them about him. The
Yeah.
stranger. Okay,
Yeah. This wanted the name. Sorry.
it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
Stranger.
I'll tell them about it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All
All
right.
right.
Have a good night, man.
You too, man. Have a good one.
Yeah. You too.
Bye.
Well, Alice, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed Survivor. We're doing The Stranger next month. I don't know very little about it, but it's gonna be fun. I trust David's opinion. Survivor was very fun, and it was dark, and I don't like the main character, but that's not necessary elements to a good story. Um, it made me think about what I'm gonna do with some of my stories, and exploring different narratives in what I do. Alice, we will see you next time. Have a good night.